Hey gamers, CJ here from Push to Plat podcast. I thought I'd start a new series of just some of the games that I've played across the week. Some of the bigger titles, some of the smaller titles, just something to give you a bit of graphical representation, I suppose, as well as all the chatter on the podcast. So we'll start off with PGA Tour 2K21. 2K Games, their first foray into this. Of course, they did take the HB Studios from the golf club to help them with it, but it was a good pickup. You know, we haven't had a really good PGA Tour game since those Tiger Woods games, and maybe even some would argue pre-Tiger Woods games. It's been a while. So, as I said, there's not a lot of choice in the golfing genre, but it is so encouraging to see that they made a decent stab at it. I know we had the Rory Mcilroy, but if you played it, I think you probably felt a little wanting. What is wonderful about this is that it's licensed, it has the golfers, it has the courses, it also has a course architect if you so wish it as well. Now, it does have the full season, the licensed tournaments as well. It has a rivals mode, yes, against the AI as you go, but it adds some depth to the game. It's also got a wonderful sponsor mode where you're completing contract requirements as you go. Probably one of the criticisms perhaps of this game is that it can be very easy if you set it, but if you find that in these games, you can always set it to legend and it's quite the challenge. Look, you can expect everything of a golf game in this. It is beautiful, it is relaxing. It also pays wonderful homage to the current COVID situation and the PGA Tour this year, where the flag sticks stay in the hole even when you're putting, as you can see, and I really like that touch. It has a wonderful putter gauge as well. It's a great effort at a golf game, and I think it's worth your time if you like this genre. Next up, Project Cars 3 for the PS4 here from Slightly Mad Studios. Well, look, there's been a lot said about this game. What can I say? It's both good, exciting, and also a little alarming at some of the quality control. You don't notice it when you first start, but the more you play it, you start to realize. Now, before we get into that, of course, there is tons of content in this game. The biggest criticism, though, is that the money is hard to come by. It locks you away from cars and potentially events as well into a grind. Now, you may find it just easier to run custom events to grind that money, and that will open up the game, making it a much easier platinum. So as I said, performance issues. So this game is probably not as good looking as it should be at the end of a console lifecycle, especially considering this is the third iteration from them. Now, there are frame drops that I've experienced. There's also this weird white static that occurs, sometimes just replacing your car for seconds off the screen. Now, it's not that common, and it does seem to be when the system's running hot in the thunderstorms and high weather, dynamic weather settings. I was interested though, because the more I played it, I started to wonder, is this really acceptable? Is this what we're up to? And I thought, why not jump back into Grid, as you can see here on the screen? And one thing I noticed was how good Grid actually looks in comparison to this game. Yeah, it's a few months earlier, but it's, I don't know, maybe the better game? I know Grid has a ton of content as well, so if you're deciding between the two, I don't know that you should be too quick to pull out Project Cars 3. It's also more of an arcadey racer this time than a sim racer. The online is kind of nice though. Next up, I know it feels like a lot of racing games, but what can I say? It's been a big week for them. Tony Stewart's All-American Racing, PS4 by Monster Games Inc. Now, I preface, if you don't like dirt racing, you're not going to like this game at all, because that's all it is. Yeah, it's a B-grade game, but it comes in with a B-grade price tag. If you played the first one, it's just more of the same. They have added some managers into the career that will elongate it, but you still have the simulation that you can use for your 10 seasons. It plays literally exactly the same. There has been some graphical touch-up though. Again, it has many of the licensed tracks as you go. So for if no other reason, it's worth it for that and the drivers. Look, it's fun. It does suffer the same problem though, that when you start, you really do need a few races to upgrade. Otherwise, you're not even competitive. But you know, it just adds to the journey. Now, I couldn't put this video together if I didn't put the addiction machine in that is Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms for the PS4, Codename Entertainment. This game is as addictive as crack, maybe more addictive than crack. Imagine having crack and this game at the same time. My goodness, you'd be off your head. Well, you know, wouldn't be much different from a normal Friday night, I suppose. So look, this game is a winner for the credit card, as I've been told. This game has more microtransactions than the whole of the EA franchise put together. But the good news is the game is free and you don't have to partake for the plat. It is a massive grind of a game, but it's an AFK game. It's set in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. It has a pretty cool story for each of the adventures as you go. And then if you're getting too good, of course, the adventures have variants. As I alluded to, it is an AFK game, so you can set runs up, leave them to run, and just adjust them as you go by leveling up characters. It is a progressive game though, so you really do feel rewarded as you put more and more time, or even if it is AFK time, into it. There are crazy people that manage to plat this in 4 weeks, but I think you do need to be pretty attentive to the events that cycle in and out across the month to unlock the champions. If you are going to play this game and you're happy to throw them a few dollars, and if you get into it, you're going to be spending enough hours, you may as well do so. They do have weekly or weekend sales. Wait for good sales. At the moment on the PSN store is a fantastic sale. You can pick up many of the things for half price. If you are going to invest money, buy a familiar. It'll save you a lot of time. Next up, She's Red, something for the Xbox, and why not, by RhinoTales. This is an FMV with an edge, a real edge. Probably the darkest, most brutal, bloody FMV that I have played so far, and it's wonderful to see Microsoft porting this across, or the team porting it across to the Xbox from PC. Yes, it plays like the complex. It does have a scene skip once you've seen the scenes. You're looking at 4 playthroughs. It's a very short FMV of around 40 minutes. The only detraction is that the lip syncing is a bit out. It was originally filmed in Russian. If you don't mind reading, put it in Russian. Next up, Batu Tabatoo. Look, PS4, 2 awesome studios, VFO. What a fun little spam game. I know we haven't had spam for a while, listeners, but I'm always going to end up with some. You can guarantee it. We've got to push those trophies up somehow, I know. This is a little bit of a skilled one, though. You do need 1,500 points. It's going to take you a few goes, or if you're me, it's going to take quite a few goes. There's also a requirement to hold 30 of the bombs. It's a bit of a color matching game, but the more you play it, the more you get used to it. You do need to be quick off the bat. If you can't get that one though, don't worry, you'll get all the other 80% of trophies in about 10 minutes, mainly via the tutorial mode. It's a bit of fun, it's only a few dollars, and it's a relatively quick plat as well. So that brings us to our final one, and this is the winner for me this week. I did mini rage about this because I suck at Brick Breakers, but this is about as easy as Brick Breakers get. It's the Sushi Break head-to-head for the PS4, Smobile, Inc. It's a fun game. Yes, there's an earlier Sushi Break that takes longer. This one is primarily quicker because you only need 25 stars and to win with 10 characters. Look, if you're trying to find an easy timer, but aim for those yellow sushis. They make all the difference. I'd advise having a bit of a look at the trophy list too. There are a few bosses you have to kill with certain power-ups, particularly the laser one. Of course, it's RNG what drops, but if you're conscious of it going in, it's going to save you time because you'll get it all in the 10 character pickups. Look, as I said, I'm not a fan of Brick Breakers, but it is something special about it where you do finally get that fire pickup. Trust me, I waited for it a long time on the first stack. It does stack NA and EU. There's no excuse you don't jump onto this game. You'll have fun. You'll get the trophies. You'll get the plat. Maybe 2 hours if you have no idea what you're doing, but probably an hour within the second stack. And look, there's no need for a guide. It's self-explanatory fun. What more could you want? So that basically wraps us up for this week, listeners. What have you been playing? Why don't you drop it in the chat if you want to, in the bottom. Conversation, whatever it's called down there. You can tell I'm new to this. Have a great week. I'll see you soon.